Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Family Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Magger from the iTunes Fanboy.
I'm Tabby Cat from Tabby Pears.
And my name is Alpha DeWolf.
And we are all back, finally full house again, ready to come back with another episode. As we have several very exciting topics to talk about. And just before we get started, I want to give a quick disclaimer about me and Tabby is that I've been sick me and Tabby and I have both been sick all week, and and I don't know about Tabby, but this is actually the first day that I don't really feel sick, but it is getting more closer to nighttime, so it's going to get worse.
I felt a lot better today, too.
And if you hear my voice sounding weird, or else if you see me coughing, or else me having to deal with phlegm, then that is why.
The thing is, though, when are you not sick, Teddy? It seems like almost every episode you're sick.
I'm not sick every episode, Alpha.
Every other
At least over 50%.
I'm not sick for... I haven't been sick... I have not been sick for that much of this podcast. Maybe season 2, but not season 3.
I don't know. Every time I edit this... Jeez. Every time I edit this, it seems like over 60% of the time I'm hearing you talking about somebody being sick. I don't know. For me, it's just spring allergies. I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I partially have that. In fact, I thought it was spring allergies at first, but then I figured out once it...
It's not even spring yet, and yet we almost have all of our snow gone. The weather up here has been so warm. It got up to 50 degrees today.
It's gotten up to 60. The high today was 65 where I am.
Well, that's good.
You never see temperatures this warm up here at this time of year. What is going on, Mother Nature? I mean, I'm not complaining because I hate the cold, but still, this is just weird.
I just wish it were sunny more often and not just rainy, but I guess we can ramble about the weather for quite a while, but I guess we should go on to our first topic, which is that probably around the time this episode will release will be the 2-year anniversary of TIFP.
Wow.
Yep.
I always forget when this was started.
Yeah, that actually does not feel like 2 years ago, because I kind of feel like it wasn't really, a full show until Alpha joined.
Yeah.
And I feel like the early recordings were kind of just Teddy and I going back and forth about, like, iPhones and stuff.
Yeah, that's basically what we did.
I feel like in the last 6 months, this show has actually gotten to a point where it's presentable, in a way that it's not just like a normal phone call, and it's actually becoming more than that, which is good.
Yeah, this season has definitely helped. Season 2 was really great too, because as season 2 progressed, we were able to make episodes better, but we couldn't exactly get production. But production was very slow in season 2, so there weren't many episodes in season 2. But season 3, now we've gotten a lot of episodes out with it. It's definitely evolved into being a lot more than just a normal phone call.
I enjoyed this out.
Yeah, go for it.
But when I first started this, I didn't know Teddy. Like, I talked to him on Twitter a few times, I think, and Instagram, but I barely knew him. At this point, I feel like he's one of my friends at this point. Same with Alpha. When we started the show, I knew nothing about you.
I remember.
I think I saw a couple of your tweets in, like, February of 2022, but I barely knew you, and I was just trying to figure out how it would all go. And by this point, I feel like, it's 2 years in. This is going pretty well at this point. And I feel like it's finally at a point where we know each other well enough to kind of predict each other's decisions and all,
Yeah, we know. Well, yeah, we don't actually know each other, but we know. But this show has gotten established to the point where it's presentable enough, so that way which is nice because even though this podcast, at least the video version, doesn't get the highest amount of views, at least we're getting to a point where this is a really good show, and people will be quite impressed when they see this.
From what I've learned, though, usually podcasts don't do that well on the YouTube platform because,
Yeah.
well, for one, especially in video form, it's hard for a lot of people to put a video form podcast on because, well, if it's on your computer browser, okay, you can just leave that as a tab, but you can exit it and do other stuff. But if it's on like your phone, for say, not everybody has the ability to close the YouTube app and have background play still going. If it's an Android device, sure,
Right.
but I don't think that's the case for iOS devices. And as a result, it results in a lot of people not wanting to listen to or watch podcasts on YouTube because they want to do other things, but in order to hear it, they need YouTube still open on display on their device. So
Yeah, and I feel like there's
That's
not a
what I
lot of
know about
Android users that listen to us because I think that within the first hour, a lot of Android users would be like, "Okay, these dudes are saying some mad trash on my phone. Goodbye."
yeah, it's not our fault though.
Not my fault, Android.
I'm still happy to try out
iOS.
Android phones. In fact, I'm trying to pick up another one at some point. But
Really?
yeah,
What is it?
it's a Galaxy S10.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's the good stuff. That's the good.
Yeah,
phone.
my grandparents have upgraded their phones recently, and I thought that they were going to trade them in, but no, they still have their old phones, and so I'm going to take my grandmother's S10 because she has no use for that anymore.
Right.
So at least that's the plan. I'm hoping I can get it, but I'm trying to snag that device because, to be honest, when trying to do Android comparisons, where the heck is it? This is all I got.
The S7.
And yeah, it's kind of irrelevant at this point. That and the battery's basically shot. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not closed off on the idea of reviewing Android phones. It's just I wish they would make them more interesting and more exciting, like back in the good old days when Samsung actually competed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
You know, the Pixel 8 Pro, I want to get a video, out on that eventually. But it has just not been a great experience. And I think one of the things that phone just needs to do better, stock Android at least, this is something I have never had an issue with on any of my Samsungs. The hitboxes are just awful. To the point where the phone is 6.5 inches, 6.7 maybe? It makes it harder to
something
use.
like that.
It makes it harder to use than any of my mini iPhones, any of my SEs, any of my phones I've ever had, and I hate using the Pixel 8 Pro due to that. It is
The aspect ratio,
no, so the
or is it
hitboxes.
just the sheer
So
size?
I try and like adjust something on the OS, or I try to tap something. It's like you need the precision of a mouse. It feels like you need to use a mouse with it, because nobody's going to be that precise using.
It's that too
touch-based.
hyper precise.
Yeah, it's like, you know how on iOS let me grab my iPhone. You know how like you go on the keyboard's a bad example. You know how you go on an app and you tap like just below settings, like kind of near the bottom of the gear, it will it'll still tap the app on Android, especially with sliders. You have to get dead on the slider.
Wow.
It is to the point where I have put the phone down And I've said, I don't have the energy to deal with this.
That's not good.
That is weird.
It's
You
just...
think, though, that just be software tuning, right?
Right, it is. They can't fix it. It's so annoying. I don't know why. But you know what gets me, like... You know what gets me even more, like, angry? The phone is an $800 phone. You're paying for that nice big screen. But with how the hitboxes are, it doesn't matter if the phone is, 4 inches or 7 inches. It's going to still perform awfully unless you have that precision. It's annoying. I hate how it works. Hate how it's optimized. Hate all of it. That's my issue with stock Android right now. If that was fixed, that would be one of my issues. Now, I'm going to pretty much put this into what I was going to say in my video. There should not be dual apps on Android. It is 2024. Samsung Galaxy Store and Play Store. We thought that was a Samsung thing, right? But, Google Pixels are almost just as bad. Because Google Drive, Google Files, same thing. Google-based file managers, 2 apps. Google Chat and Google Messages, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Same thing. If Google Chats and Google Messages was combined, it would be iMessage on Android. It would be the same thing. Pixel users could have, their RCS end-to-end encryption, because RCS and iMessage, they're not really the most comparable. iMessage is still better. But, you know what I mean? There's dual apps, and it's annoying. Google Health and Google Thermometer, or Temperature Scanner, the Temperature Scanner should be in Google Health, because
Yeah, that makes
advertise it in the
more
Health
sense
feature
to
now.
me.
That is
If
so
Apple did that, it would be in
weird.
the Health.
You know that Google owns Waze and Google Maps?
Yeah, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, both of them, for turn-by-turn navigation in like a metropolitan area, worse than Apple Maps.
Yeah, there's a reason I still use Apple Maps, despite that. I wish it had satellite view and CarPlay.
Yeah, that is something that I did realize after you pointed that out. But my issue with Google Maps, it doesn't have the best like turn by turn for exits. So if you're going off an exit, you don't realize it as quick with Google Maps as Apple Maps.
Yeah, that's not exactly good
there's a
in
reason
the
why-
metropolitan area when exits are very cramped and you don't have much room and you can't easily turn around.
Oh yeah, Elias.
Somehow my
Neotech
family
Monkey, I've been-
also... My family also has had, like, the worst luck when it comes to Google's directions in general. Like, I might live out in a rural area, but it even sucks at giving us directions out here. Half the time it gets them stranded, half the time it just gives up. And it's always me with the iPhone who has to save the day with Apple Maps.
Yeah,
Don't you
I've
guys
been
know
in the
where?
car
Don't
with,
you guys just know where you're going in the first place?
It's new
Not if you're going
locations that
somewhere
we've
new.
never been to.
Oh,
But like, I've been in the car with Elias a lot because I'm trying to keep miles off mine, right? And every time it seems like he misses a turn, and it's like he's missed more turns in like one drive than I've missed in a year. I'm like, what? Why do you keep using Google Maps if it keeps happening? Like, what?
Yeah, it's bad at
Tell me what
turn-by-turn
it is.
directions. It's always been. Even for non-driving directions, it's bad at that. It's bad at giving directions.
Yeah, and it just kind of looks like they take a globe, flatten it out, draw a couple lines, and be like, okay, follow the line. They don't do how Apple does with zooming in. Maybe they changed it. Maybe I just wasn't using it properly. But that's kind of how it went with me in Google Maps in March of 2023.
Yeah, directions via Google Maps, they suck. and it doesn't matter where you are. They suck. And because of that, my parents now have the stigma of you can't use GPS to navigate where you're going because what do they use for GPS?
Google Maps.
Oh, that's annoying.
Because they're both on Android.
That's so annoying how people just give up on technology because there's one bad part of it. For example, when people give up on EVs and think they're a fad because there's some bad EVs out there.
Yeah, true. There are some bad electric cars out there that put a sour taste in people's mouth when they don't even realize there's other great options that could have completely mitigated the whole issue.
Just like how even though I don't personally like the Meta Quest 3, I still want to buy a Vision Pro.
Oh, I still have no interest in VR or AR Vision Pro.
Did you watch John Prosser's latest review video on it?
Yes, and credit where credit is due, he knocked that thing out of the park. Sir,
He really
I
did.
loved his review. I just have such mixed feelings on... A bit of a problem with it was he's trying to sell you on a feeling, subjective stuff. And you can't sell subjectivity without actually experiencing it for yourself. So, I thought the review was pretty good. I love the quality. I love his approach. It was interesting. It was entertaining, and I totally found his point. It's just
Whose review are we talking about again?
John Prosser.
John Prosser, Front Page Tech.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
It is really amazing. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, John Prosser's
just
videos
the
have gotten
whole-
so much better in the past few months.
Especially because he's really dropping the whole character.
Yeah, he's finally getting rid of that stupid character.
I'm
He's
really
really-
glad about that. That might actually make me start watching his channel now, because the whole, like, as Alpha said, the whole character, that was, like, really annoying.
Yeah, I love that he's gotten rid of, and it seems like his audience does too, because he's making a lot more videos that doesn't have it, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're his audience and we like it.
Yeah, but the thing with Vision Pro, though, is, to me, the whole futuristic experience that he's talking about, unlike, to me, it feels more like a luxury rather than a future necessity. It's a future luxury instead of a future necessity. Because to me, it's like it's almost like smartphones and tablets, at least in its current form now. It's just like your smartphone and your tablet, but held in the air via software visually. And sure, it now opens up the possibility for 3D elements, which I can't experience because you know why.
All right.
That side tangent aside,
that major side tangent aside that we have to keep controversial, or confidential. Excuse me, not controversial.
yeah, confidential is what you're looking for. What were we talking about? Vision Pro. They had the review.
I actually, that was also a side tangent.
Yeah, I suppose.
But we can keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, I was going on about how it was basically the future that the experience is presenting is more of a luxury and not a necessity. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, luxury over
I think so.
I think that John Prosser might have actually. I think he was actually onto something in the video, because think about it. If it makes interacting with tech feel a little more human, actually, then then that'd actually be pretty cool. Then that'd be a major step toward in the right direction for society.
Yeah.
But I guess we
I
should
just
move on
don't
to the
see
next
it that
topic,
way.
which is something else that Apple released. Yeah, released on Monday, which is the new MacBook Air.
Oh, right, that thing.
Yeah.
Does anybody really care? Because basically after M1, everyone's problems are solved.
I mean, I'll say the same thing I often do about these Macs, is that the new 2024 MacBook Air, it's a good computer. I mean, it's a good computer and it's a great upgrade for those who are looking for it. And now that people are just starting to look for upgrades from their M1 Macs, I think it's a great MacBooks. It's a great product.
It's the same price as the M2 was when it came out, right?
Yep. Or no,
Yeah.
it's the same price as it was in 2023
Yeah.
when it got lowered.
Yeah.
I'm not
so-
The
sure.
thing is, though, I wouldn't recommend anyone with M1 or M2 to upgrade to that.
I would.
The way I'd see most people justifying that, I'd see more people justifying it by they have an old MacBook Air that recently had software support dropped, and yeah, it's old. It's time for a new one, because I don't think MacBook Airs are the types of people to upgrade every year or every 2 years.
I don't think of
Because
those
if
kind
they're
of people,
saving,
but
if they're trying to buy that cheap of a computer, then I think that they try to get as much value out of that, meaning they try to make it last as long as possible.
I actually think
Yeah.
I don't think that M2. This is definitely not an upgrade for M2 users, but you have to remember that the M1 MacBook Air was released in November 2020, and that's coming up on 4 years, and so it's over 3 years old. So at this point, MacBooks are going to start showing some signs, a little more wear and tear. And I mean, another side tangent is that how glad are we that the M1 MacBook Air is finally discontinued? I'm very happy about that.
I'm not, actually.
I'm sorry, you're not happy that it was discontinued? That old crappy computer that was
Well, I mean,
on
crappy,
sale?
though.
Here's the thing. It was getting people into the Mac ecosystem. As much as I don't like old computers, it wasn't
So-
that outdated.
But the M2
It wasn't
MacBook Air,
really
that's the
outdated.
M2's job now.
But the M2 MacBook Air is still a more expensive machine.
No, it's
Because
not. Its price was lower.
But you gotta
than
realize,
the
you
M1.
gotta factor in sales though. M1 was going on sale because it was last generation design. And people were buying the M1s on sale because it was a last generation product at that point in the sense of it's like buying a Touch Bar MacBook Pro right when the 14 inches came out. Those were same exact thing.
Okay, that's a weird opinion, but yeah, But yeah, you guys seriously don't think that the M1 MacBook Air that was way too overpriced and was sold on for 2 years way too long you're mad that it got discontinued, even though the M2 MacBook Air is going to do the exact same thing.
Okay, I won't say I was mad.
I'm
I prefer to word it like disappointed. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
I'm glad it got discontinued for a different reason.
What is it?
I think right now it might still be a good purchase, brand new, but it's unlikely that Apple's just going to let it go for another 6 months because we don't know how it's going to perform on Mac OS. What is it? Like, we're up
15.
to 14 now, right? Yeah. We don't know how that's going to
That's a
perform.
good.
So
That's a good point. We don't know how it'll perform on that, and I mean the machine is the machine is old enough to be going into preschool now, so we have to consider that it might not exactly. It might be great now, but it's going to start showing a little more wear and tear.
Well, you guys have to remember that compared to previous gen MacBook Airs, they had crap tier processors that basically you didn't want to do anything more than web browsing or document editing and such like that. These MacBook Airs have way more snot than the previous generations ever had. I could see these new ones aging so much better than the previous gen MacBook Airs.
They'll age better, but you still can't fight the fact that as electronics get older, like it's electronics and people are the same exact deal. You can do things to prevent them from aging, but eventually they're going to get old no matter what, and they'll be a little more unable to do stuff. That's just the way it is when old things work.
But it's not that old, though.
It's 3 years old. It is past its life. It's past its lifespan for a new product.
I mean,
so is that.
This is older, and it's doing so much better than I expected it to.
Yes, that's good. Yes, it's
what if they sold that today, though?
Yeah.
It's more of just like...
At a discount, I'd still buy it.
How much would you pay? I'd pay like at the most $200 for that thing.
I'd probably pay around $300 for brand new. And that's just because there are so many generations of this further ahead. But if Apple still actually had this in their lineup, if they sold it for $300, I'd still buy it new. Because I still think this is better than the SE.
Oh, it definitely is.
So, yeah. Maybe I'd buy it at the same price as the SE.
Oh, it's not worth that much money. You gotta get at least an 11. You gotta go to at least 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max for that kind of money.
Yeah, but they're not as pretty as this thing.
I know, but not everything's about looks.
But yeah, I think it was to just call the M1 MacBook Air obsolete at this point.
It's not obsolete.
That's too premature.
It's not obsolete yet, but it's getting in a mature. But it's getting in a mature phase, and especially, and it'd be too unsafe and it isn't a good idea to start selling them brand new now, because whilst they may only, going back to a similar quote to Tabby, whilst the M1 MacBook Air may only be 3 years old now, in 3 years it'll be 6 years old instead of another 3 years old, like with the new M3 MacBook Air. So naturally, and do 6-year-old computers perform that well?
When they have very low-end tier processors for their market, no. But this has a smashing processor for the market it was sold for at the time.
I mean, it might be doing okay, but you also have to factor in other factors like batteries, especially.
But those are easy to replace.
People don't all necessarily want to replace batteries, and people don't want to have to replace stuff in those.
I'm surprised how frequently I hear people rather swap their batteries in their laptops than just buy a whole new laptop altogether.
For a laptop or a phone? Because a laptop battery, you take that to the repair shop. The repair shop bills you have to charge with the computer, because repair shops are... I'm sorry. Every repair shop I've ever been to has ripped me off.
Well, that's because a lot of it, you're in the city, so it doesn't really help with that. There's a lot of
I guess, but
hot stop repair shops. I'm lucky up here. We have a very well-known repair shop called Up and Running. They fixed so many of my hardware problems, especially when it came to my XPS. So,
oh, what kind of hardware problems have you had with the XPS?
Actually, no, I took it in because I had issues with the antivirus. It wasn't installing properly.
Yeah, Windows, because we all love Windows.
Yeah. It's my dad and my mom. They've taken their laptops to Up and Running all the time, and they've got top-tier experiences for a relatively low price. In fact, actually, my dad's done how many battery replacements through them, and he's only paid, like, what, $200-ish bucks?
I'm sorry, $200-ish bucks for all of them or one?
For one replacement at a time. But you got to remember, cost of the part and cost of labor. To me, that's a pretty good deal, especially for the types of laptops that he buys.
I'd probably charge $100 if I was a laptop battery repairman.
You also gotta, but so.
Well, keep in mind, this is a battery for like a $3,000, $4,000-ish laptop.
Still.
But also, you gotta have an overhead so you can pay your building's rent.
Yeah.
And so you can, put food on the table, stuff like that, Yeah,
I mean, does $200 sound unreasonable to you, Tabby, or?
$200 for something like that would be about average, because you got a $3,000 computer. Teddy, let's say your MacBook Pro 60 inches battery, you're out of warranty, and your battery dies. And you have to take it into Apple, and Apple bills you $200 for a brand new battery. That would be kind of fair, right?
Depends on how much the computer is worth at that point, and it depends on how old the computer is too. Because if it's at least,
let's say you have data on there that you really need, and you're not able to turn the computer on without.
Yeah, that's another thing that I probably should have brought up. A lot of people don't like to transition laptops that frequently because they gotta port over software and licenses and sorts of files, and it takes time to do that. And a lot of people don't like to spend that type of time doing that every 1 or 2 years. So that's why you'll see a lot of people hold on to their laptops for as long as they possibly can. Because even I know the pain of trying to migrate through computers. Started out with my Windows XP tower. Well, then I transitioned to a Windows 7 tower, and gosh, was it annoying that constantly have to go, oh, wait, I need this file. It's not on the 7 tower, so I got to go find it on the XP tower, get that copied over there. Then I transitioned to Mac OS, so then I got to copy all that stuff from the 7 tower onto my MacBook. Oh, I get an iMac, a desktop, nice. Again, same deal. And then finally, the MacBook Pro I'm using right now. I've always hated having to go through those transition periods because you think that you get everything, but then you realize, oh, no, you don't have everything. And it's annoying.
I don't keep that much data on my computers, to be fair, and my mom also switches laptops quite frequently, so maybe that's just what. So maybe I'm just judging average Joes based on my mom.
No, it's not actually that frequent that you'd see average Joes upgrading their laptop every year or two. It's not that common.
Yeah, I know it's not that common, but I figured it'd still be more like 3 to 4, maybe 5 years.
Oh, like, no, it's longer than that. It is longer
than that. No one keeps
that.
their laptop for that. No normal
You'd be surprised.
Keeps their laptop for that long.
Well, especially when they're high-end laptops, like especially now that the MacBook Airs are very competitive.
Like high-end
you'd be surprised how long people are going to want to keep these.
Listen to this. How long do you think the average grandma would keep her computer? Because I'm sure my grandma, she would still be using her Windows 8 computer And before that, she would have still been on Windows XP. But she got an iPad to replace it, which my dad bought her that, so...
Yeah, my grandma.
I would think until either it slows down to the point where she grows impatient, or until it flat out just takes a dump.
And then at that point, I feel like a lot of people would just bring it into the store, and the store would throw an SSD in it and say, "Oh, it's better than it was," and they would be like, "Okay, well, it's a little bit better than it was, a week ago, so you can use it for 10 more years," and then eventually buy an iPad and give up on computers because. The truth is, the market's going towards iPads. I know a lot of people who...
Yeah, especially for that demographic.
They've ditched the computer for an iPad.
My grandmother... Well, in the case of my grandmother actually is a little bit... She's a little... Actually, she does keep her... She doesn't use laptops, but she does keep... And she doesn't particularly use high-end computers, but she does usually keep them for longer...
But also, she's got a tech enthusiast as a grandson, and your parents seem somewhat like enthusiasts.
My mom knows more about technology. My dad doesn't really know that much about it.
Okay.
Yeah, but my grandmother got our first computer back in 2001 when my mom bought my grandparents. And then my grandfather bought a new computer for them, another new computer back. They were both Dell towers. Another one back in '08. And then when the '08 tower died, then she got the Acer computer that is sitting right next to me on my desk in 2015. But she grew too impatient with that, so she got her current Acer tower in 2018. In 2018, which she has been using ever since. And believe me, I've tried to get her to upgrade. Believe me, I have.
The thing is, it's Windows hardware I know needs to be upgraded more frequently because that's how Windows works. But in the case of Mac, that's just honestly, my iMac is still good for doing basic web browsing and document processing.
I mean,
it'd be the perfect school
good
computer
for that stuff, but a lot. It really just depends on what kind of person you are, truthfully. Since most people, I feel that they, again, going back to the argument that sure, the M1 MacBook Air might only be 3 years old now. In 4 years, it'll be another 7 years, and you can get more life out of an M2 or M3 MacBook Air. So I guess they have that pro as well, but. I guess I wouldn't. It's not necessarily an obsolete computer, but it is the M1 model. But it's not. But it's definitely not new anymore.
The one thing that I will agree with you on is they probably should have lowered the price if they were going to sell it.
They should have definitely at least lowered it because $1,000 for a over 3-year-old computer. Come on, Apple.
I will say it would have been time to start lowering the price.
For $1,000.
Oh yeah, it is.
A lot for even the M2.
In fact, actually, I have a slight concern.
Yeah.
I'm worried that more people are going to buy the M2 MacBook Air instead of the M3.
They probably will.
Already. This dude I know bought an M2 over an M3 today because, it's not worth the extra $100. And I was
it is.
Think about it.
Again, it'll be 2 years. It's 2 years newer, so you'll be getting probably 2 more years of life out of it. So
I thought that MacBook Air is only like a year old.
June 2023, so 3 months off from 2 years.
June 2022 was when the M2 released.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. But I think more people are going to buy that M2 MacBook Air versus the M3 because when you think about it, the people who typically buy MacBook Airs are the ones who do document processing and web browsing. And obviously, we all know this. The M series is way more powerful than what's required to do both of those tasks. So to upgrade to get even more power out of that, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wish
this
Apple
one
just could-
advertising thing that makes no sense to me. Apple is advertising with the new M3 MacBook Air. You can now use 2 external displays with the lid closed. These reactions are hilarious.
Nope. Some people connect their Macs to external monitors, but most of the time those people are tech enthusiasts.
Do you want to know what I find stupid about that? Mac Mini, M1 and M2.
Especially M2 at a lot less money.
2 basic M1 and M2 Mac Minis. 2 external displays. The entire time. Why couldn't they just... This has to be a software thing. Why couldn't M1 and M2 support 2 external displays, but when the MacBook's lid is closed?
I don't know. That sounds pretty stupid now that sounds
Can't drive as many pixels. It's kind of dumb.
Because that makes no sense to me, because the only reason why M1 MacBook Air couldn't do 2 external displays was because it had a built-in one that it was driving. So you have 2 displays. You're maxed out at 2 displays. You got the MacBooks built in, which leaves you room for 1 external display. The reason why Mac Mini supported 2 was because it had no built-in display. You had to get one. And so that's why it supported 2. So it has to be software or something. It's just dumb to me.
That is really dumb, and I really wish that Apple just got rid of both the M1 and the M2 MacBook Air at the same time and just sold the M3.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to sell their new technology, then they shouldn't have the M2 on their site. But that M2 MacBook Air is probably going to sell better than the M3.
Although, to be fair, Apple sells the iPhone 14 and the 15 at the same time, so maybe Apple's figured it out. But
don't they sell the 13 too? Or did
they
stop
do.
selling that last year? So it's so stupid.
Not the Mini, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Mini was cool. I liked that phone.
Yeah, I may be a big phone person, but not gonna lie, I do miss the Mini option.
So do I.
I mean, they're cool phones, you know.
Yep.
I really wish there would be an
But
iPhone 16 mini.
If you ask me, I just wish there was one small iPhone, one big iPhone. That's it.
Same. That would be perfect.
I'm glad they don't do it like Google does, though. Very glad they don't do it like Google, where if you want the smaller phone, you're giving up a good amount of features. It's annoying because Google takes their phone, they give you this huge Pixel 8 Pro, but if you want, just a smaller phone, it's a whole different phone. It's not comparable. 2 phones aren't comparable.
Like I get there's some features that I do get that you have to reserve for bigger phones. Like if a feature requires a bigger display, then obviously, but also if you need something like, for example, you couldn't do a big camera bump on the mini iPhone, which would actually be nice, and you also can't have as big a battery, so you can't. So we need to naturally have a bigger phone to house more features. But if Apple just gave them all the same software features and the same processors and just put them on the same and just gave them slightly different treatment, like for example, how the iPhone 8 had 1 camera lens, but the 8 Plus has 2. Like, if they just did that level of treatment, then that would work very well.
Yeah, I miss the days when it was only 2 size options, the regular and the Plus. And I think because we're now spoiled with, we have 2 sizes of Pro options, because we're Pro users, obviously. Now we're spoiled with the 2 different size options, and because now the market's too cluttered, well, we still want our Pro options, but we have our own size needs. I'm still going to continue to buy the Pro Max size because you know how I work. But I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
there are
you
some
two are
people
going to
that
continue
want
to want to
bigger
buy the
phones.
smaller option.
Like smaller and bigger phones. Like, there are some people, like, if you want to pay more for a big screen, if you want a big phone, you got to pay more and get the Pro. If you, like, I mean, it's only a $100 to $200 difference. It's not that much in the grand scheme of things.
That's how it used to be. You want the bigger one, it's just $100 more, and you get extras to go with it. It's a plus.
Yeah, like the iPhone.
Get rid of like the regular 15 and 15 plus. Just go back to all in on make the best possible smartphone ever.
Yeah, do that. And more important, and while Apple's at it, in another example, the iPhone 7 has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Guess how much RAM the 7 Plus has?
Like 3.5, right?
3.
gigs, something like that.
I don't remember those specs from back then. But yeah, to me, a big problem that I'm starting to notice too, I'm seeing a lot more average Joes out there with actually the Pro lineup instead of the base model line.
I'm seeing a lot more of them with the Pro line too. I see some with the, I mean, with the 15 cycle, especially at my school, I've seen a lot of standard iPhone 15s and not a whole lot of Pros, but I still see some Pros amongst average Joes.
Yeah, the weird
I
thing
see
is
a
that
lot
I'm
of
seeing
14
more
Pros.
pros than standard.
And I see a lot of iPhone 14 Pros at my school too.
So
Now, granted, that's because the iPhone 14 was basically so useless that no one really wanted it. So, as a result, all the people upgraded that year upgraded to the Pros, like yours truly.
I just remembered something funny. Did you hear that? I wish I knew the organization that makes this list, but they basically gather all the sales numbers for all smartphones in the world, and I think all 7 new how many? There's like 7 iPhones on best-selling smartphones in the world.
I'm stoked.
I guess it's kind of saying something about the Android competition.
Yeah. Well, we can go on about this, or we can talk about how Apple has a competition in the music industry.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, dear. It's not that topic, is it?
It's drum roll, please.
Gosh, no. Oh, one thing I'm not excited for.
The European Union is fining Apple the equivalent of $2 billion for mistreating Spotify. Now, for context,
European Union's stupid.
Spotify is headquartered in Sweden, which I assume is part of the European Union.
They are.
Apple has got Spotify for as far back as as early as 5 years ago, has been mad that Apple has a 30% cut in the App Store, and all purchases that they make on the App Store are 30. Apple gets a 30% cut, while a developer gets 70%. And if you're a smaller developer, then Apple gets a 15% cut. However, Spotify didn't like how Apple got a 30% cut, because then if they wanted to, so that way Spotify would still earn the same amount of money, while still giving Apple the appropriate 30% cut. They would have to raise the prices in the app compared to the website. Now, first of all, companies that have to feel that they have to raise the prices just because of a corporate cut are probably not exactly that great companies anyway, and should probably reevaluate how they do business and just standardize their prices. But Spotify, as the words of Sam Tucker from Samtime, Spotify got mad at Apple, so Spotify tattled to their president, and now the EU is fining Apple the equivalent of $2 billion US.
Yeah, if I was Apple, I'd just get out of the stupid European Union.
So would I.
If I was a European right now, I would be pissed.
Yes, because
I would be really
Spotify
pissed
is
at my own
not.
government.
Spotify is honestly even ignoring the fact of what they do. Apple Spotify alone is just not great. It's just not great anyway because it's just pretty. All it does is just recommend crap in playlists that they recommend, and half the time they recommend crap. So it's just kind of ruining the specialty of individual artists, especially because they uprank all the AI generated stuff, and have done for over 2 years.
AI generated what?
Music.
Why would anybody listen to that?
Because it sounds like it sounds like real crappy pop music.
So stupid.
Yeah. Alpha looks very intent.
Permission to go into overdrive.
You're gonna go into it anyway, aren't you?
I might.
Fine. Please don't blow my AirPods
I need
out.
permission from both of you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Since this is a real-time recording and not my standard editing, I'm going to be very sporadic. It's not going to be that quickly edited together stuff. Here we go. EU. Guess what? I have a message for you. You and your need to control all of our American stuff. You claim that Spotify's being suppressed. Spotify's getting shafted on Apple's. Okay, if Spotify's going to be shafted by Apple, how about Spotify quits shafting all of the artists on their platform? They refuse to pay a lot of their artists at the time.
Yes.
And this is their result. They come to Apple saying, "Oh, we don't want to pay this. We don't want to abide by Apple's rules." Well, guess what, Spotify? You want to be in the house? You got to abide by the rules. That's how it works.
Yes.
That's how it has always worked. And now you're just coming to the government going, "Well, Apple's just not being nice to us. They won't let us in their house." Spotify. Oh my goodness.
Apple could just ban
What
Spotify
makes you
from the App
think?
Store.
Precisely, they should be banned. You think Apple is immoral for kicking you off? No, they're still technically on the platform. You think Apple is immoral for suppressing your advertising or not letting you use Siri and all that? Well, guess what? You're not that high on the morality scale either, in case you forgot. Paying your artists, paying your music distributors, that seems like a good idea.
You know how much Apple
doesn't it?
You know how much more Apple Music pays their artists than Spotify? Because it's quite a lot more.
And this is what you do? You basically play crybaby to your nation's government to get money
Spotify
out of Apple for doing basically
Spotify
nothing wrong. This is what you do?
Sounds like Spotify just wants to control more of the music industry. As I mean, even Daniel Ek, the founder of Spotify, he wants his dream. His dream was to grow up and get rich and retire. So he's clearly grown up and get rich. So you can tell clearly his biggest concern is money.
Guess what, Spotify? F that and EU, same for you. How dare you? Out of all the different things that you're coming up with, this is one of the most immoral ones I have ever seen. How dare you?
Alright. Well, now we've gotten that out of control.
Alright.
Overdrive.
I'm going to have a lot of editing to do this week.
now I've gotten Apple's Alpha's Overdrive out of the way, there is something one example I want to bring up is that Taylor Swift, back in 2014, mind you, the same year that her song Shake It Off released, she actually removed her music from Spotify for 3 years because she didn't think they were paying her enough, and she was, mind you, a very well-established artist even back then.
Spotify is messed up.
You know they pirated over $1 million do you know they pirated over $1 million in music just to demo to the record companies how their service worked? Like, they clearly must know that.
Yeah.
Like,
But even all that shady stuff aside, the app itself is just not even that great.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's surprising to me to see how few people are actually aware of this. Because I'm in a grand total of 3 different choirs right now. Yes, 3 different choirs. And a lot of the way that everyone sends their music to each other to practice and rehearse, it's through Spotify. Spotify playlists. It's not YouTube links, it's through Spotify. So that means I would think you'd use YouTube links because it doesn't matter if you have an account for anything. You don't even need an account to use YouTube. Everybody knows that. So just send YouTube links. But no, they use Spotify. And if they're putting that much stress on Spotify, then they must not be aware of what all the shady stuff that Spotify has done.
Yeah, and I mean, even my dad's aware of it, but he still uses Spotify. And you know how Spotify is so popular that I remember one time back in December when all my classmates were talking about their Spotify Unwrapped playlists.
Yeah, and I guess before people start going off thinking that I'm just an Apple Music fanboy here, if Spotify decided to play by the rules and not shaft anyone that they're promoting on their platform, then I'd be singing a completely different tune right now. I would not be as angry as I just was in that Overdrive. But no, if this is Spotify's behavior, I am not going to support it. Especially as I myself am a musician. You might have noticed I got a couple instruments in my background. Yeah. So, not thrilled with what happened here. And I can't believe the EU allowed them to get away with it. That's just scummy on so many levels. So.
Apple doesn't have to follow the EU's rules. They can just pull out, and they could if Apple wanted to, they could smuggle stuff into the EU too. I
don't know if they do that, but even then, their market share in the in European Union nations, it's just not that big.
Yeah, like Apple's not that. The EU, in other words, wants to control Apple. Well, it's literally the EU trying to control the United States, where Apple is far more dominant.
Yeah, Apple's, in terms of European market share, Apple's more predominant in nations that are actually not in the European Union. Like, for example, Great Britain. They're actually more predominant in the United Kingdom.
I figure. Oh, and I also want to mention something else about the EU trying to control the United States. Why did the Revolutionary War happen again? Like, I just need to make sure that the EU executives have studied history, just so that way they know they know what the American Revolution was.
Yeah, there is so much in terms of the digital space where, gosh, why hasn't Apple come out with an animated middle finger bubble thing yet?
Maybe they're waiting to save that for the EU. Maybe it'll be EU exclusive at first. F-U, EU.
They deserved it. Anywho, Tabby, you've gone radio silent. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, just making sure I didn't scare you off.
One of the things about the EU that's always pissed me off, why are they So I've yet to see an actual European citizen who cares about any of this, for lack of better word, garbage that the EU's doing. So they could be actually working on problems. And look, I'm not a European Union resident. I'm just, I have no say in this. I don't fall under any of their districts, whatever you want to call it, but it makes no sense to me how they can be doing this when there's actual problems going on. And when people ask about the problems, I bet they're going to say, well, we're busy working on it, but right now we're working on other things, when the other things that they're working on is a petty drama game between a government and a corporation, when the corporation, in reality, I have a lot of problems with Apple. But
yeah, to be
still
clear, we're not complete shills. We have our own problems with Apple.
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with how Apple runs their business, but how they treat their developers. One thing I want to say, the fact that Spotify wants more money from Apple is complete garbage, because if you're on Apple's services, if you're using Apple's device, you're not just going to be able, if they want to do this, they can make their own device. Go through the time, development, research, money of making your own.
They've been whining about this for 5 years. They could have developed a smartphone at that point.
Yeah, but make your own device, make your own service, your own system, your own app store. Then it's the same as what Epic Games does. And I'll say this. I've never used Spotify, purposefully. I've used the free service for a couple days to test it out, and I hated it. Absolutely hate the UI.
It's bad.
I hate how they insist on using playlists instead of just a central library, because the library system makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes so much more sense to me.
I'll put this into perspective. I have a couple of playlists that I use, and one of them, I have about 10 playlists just for different years. So every year, at the end of the year, I go through whatever music I added to my library, I put that on a playlist. So I have that from 2014 to 2015 to 2024. I have rap music because I don't listen to rap music often, but when I do, that's the rap music that I listen to. I have 2 playlists that I play, when I don't want to have explicit music come on, because there are times when I've not wanted that to come on, I've got just a couple of, random things. And then I have, at the top, all music. Now, I just Command A to select all, put that. I have 1,935 songs that I listen to on a daily basis in my library. And, I don't mean I listen to them all every day, but I listen to that stuff. If I had all these, in a Spotify playlist and a bunch of playlists, I would have, maybe 60 songs on one, 200 on another. It divides all the stuff. So it's like, if I want to listen to just everything, I can't. And I know Spotify has liked songs, but why not just have a central library like Apple Music did? And I use Apple Music this way, which I believe is the intended way to be used, because before Apple Music, I bought my music on iTunes. Right? So I've been using Apple Music since 2017. For the better part of the end of 2016, early 2017, I used Amazon Music because I couldn't, just go out and buy $100 worth of music every month. So I had Amazon Prime Music. Before that, I pretty much, whenever I just wanted to listen to something, I either went to YouTube or iTunes. And how Spotify works makes no sense from this perspective. Don't know why they do it that way, but they do.
They do it so that way you don't know. So that way you don't. They do it so that way you get to listen to what they want you to listen to rather than what you want to listen to on your own. Because if you listen on on Apple Music, it'll give you more music from the artists that you already know, and songs that you're okay, and songs that you want to listen to. However, my dad uses Spotify, and and one thing, and then he'll realize, oh, I forgot about this artist. I should add it onto my Spotify playlist. And even though he doesn't listen to that vastly different stuff, then Spotify still refuses to recommend the stuff that he's more familiar with. Now, my dad's not exactly young, but still.
The way that I've seen
good.
Spotify a lot in terms of trying to use it is it's trying to be like Pandora, but worse.
What's the purpose? How's Pandora?
I remember
to be
Pandora.
used?
It was like a
Pandora
radio
is
service almost.
Yeah, Pandora is basically trying to imitate a radio service, but via the internet, and a thing that I kind of miss about radio, the hosts, the DJs, when they give their commentary and such. I kind of
hate that commentary so much.
Well, the thing
I
was,
actually have a funny story about Pandora.
Yeah.
For later, after Alpha's done.
All right, but yeah, I listen to Pandora on the occasion because sometimes it's often how I actually discover music most of the time, because I don't like listening to the radio anymore because it's always the top two, mostly the top one favorite song of a new album that's come out from each artist, and nothing more. You never get to hear anything else aside from that. Pandora adds a healthier mix of less popular songs that actually I'll like even more than the most popular ones.
That's true.
I do like Pandora. I don't listen to it as much as I used to, but I still like Pandora. But the thing is, the Pandora is literally trying to advertise itself as like your radio station, but without the guy, the guy giving you the commentary and funny stories, or the way that they handle ads is so much better too. Instead of at the top of the hour, it's 5 to 7 minutes worth of ads, versus Pandora, it's after every 3 to 5 songs, I don't remember the number, it's one ad for like maybe somewhere between 10 to 30 seconds. I haven't listened to this in a while, but it's an improved version of radio, and you don't have to, and you're not locked geographically to a station.
That's a good benefit too.
So yeah, I do like Pandora. Spotify, I felt like, is kind of trying to imitate Pandora, but they're doing such a worse job at it in almost every aspect in terms of mixing the music, because once again, it's all of the top favorite songs, that at least that's my experience. It's the top single, maybe 2 favorite songs of each artist's album, and its method of organize, it says, oh, you can save these or whatever, but I don't like the way it handles. It's just a mess. It's just a complete, total mess.
Yeah, you don't
Compared
want.
to
Yeah, there
Pandora.
are some times when you want specific playlists, but sometimes when you just want to listen to all your music.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, let's say I'm driving in the car and I'm alone, then I wouldn't, like, if I was listening to music from my phone, I wouldn't exactly want to go to Spotify when it might play songs that I'm not exactly familiar with, because well, not only am I going to be a little more focused on the song, which isn't exactly that great for driving, but also, like, what if I don't like it? Then I can't just change it when I'm driving. So
Yeah,
now
Pandora,
with
at least you can
library
skip. You can skip in
I kind of
Pandora.
think the opposite there. One thing, so whenever I'm alone driving, I will usually just like turn the volume up and just go, and I'll listen to more like albums, and I think one time I listened to the whole discography of this one band that I've been listening to. When I'm with someone else, they're going to be like, what the hell's this dude doing? So I just kind of tend to put on everything, But one thing I did like about Pandora, this was in early 2015. They had an app on the Palm Pre.
Oh.
If you guys remember or even know what that is. Back then, I decided to main one of those. So my service was on there and all, because I always had great memories with that phone. I wanted to use it once again before it was pretty much killed off. And that was actually how I got the current music taste that I have now. I was just listening to Pandora radio, and that's how I started listening to the music that I do now. It was that, and there's this game on the 360, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I listened to the soundtrack of that game, had a great soundtrack. And that's actually why I like Pandora more than Spotify. I don't know what they're doing now. They
haven't changed all that much.
they're probably not doing that well now, because from what I remember, they weren't doing that well in 2015.
Yeah, Pandora's obviously remained 9 years later, so they've obviously still got to be doing okay, but Pandora doesn't seem like they're...
Pandora is very popular amongst my family, actually. I mean, especially because...
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, especially because they're Android user devices. And yes, I know Apple Music's available on Android, but actually for the most part, they don't.
Nobody who uses an Android is going to go and buy Apple Music, pay Apple if they use it.
Yeah, precisely.
One of my friends actually has an Android phone, but he listens to Apple Music.
Does he have an iPad or a MacBook?
I mean, he has a school iPad, but I think he just has his Android phone and an Android watch.
That's but for the most part, because a lot of my family uses Android, it's a common thing I see. Most people with Android devices, I typically see them use Pandora. So, and it is on a few iPhone devices as well, because, well, again, Pandora is very popular amongst my family, and despite that, yeah, a lot of my family members use Android. A lot of them also use iPhone too. So, yeah, Pandora is still relevant today, and I don't know if it gets new downloads from people just discovering it. I think it's got its fan base, and that fan base is sticking with it. And personally, I'd still prefer to use Pandora for its radio style compared to Apple Music if I want to discover new stuff. But most of the time, I don't want to discover new stuff, and it's just because a lot of the new stuff that comes out anyways is just not that appealing to me. So I stick with my libraries and Apple Music. But, yeah, Pandora's great. It really is. Especially compared to Spotify.
We've worn that topic out severely, so do you guys want to move on to... I think we should move on to our next topic, which is a very, very exciting topic.
What is it?
The U.S. has officially passed the bill that could ban TikTok. It still has to go through a few more things before TikTok is illegal, but... Yes! TikTok is going to get banned!
Yes! Woo! Stark contrast from that overdrive.
Yeah, we're no more TikTok, no more toxicity.
Let's just hope they don't migrate over to YouTube Shorts like they've already been doing.
Nope. Oh, good lord, I'm glad I don't make shorts.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, YouTube Shorts is just as much of a nightmare as TikTok, except, well, minus the tracking and such. YouTube's not as bad as TikTok.
I don't hate YouTube Shorts. If you get in the right area with YouTube Shorts, you're good.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to be in a very specific part of it, but if you're not in that, then it's mostly the same crap like TikTok.
Like, for example, Phone Repair Guru makes excellent shorts.
I've seen some really, really stupid stuff on YouTube Shorts.
Oh, yes, like that video that you sent us.
Which one?
You know, that really stupid one?
I've sent a couple of really stupid ones.
Yeah, well, it was one... There was one that was compared... Well, I can't actually say what it was, since that'd be...
The point is, it was dumb. It was stupid.
But, you know, most of the stuff on my YouTube Shorts page, I'll actually open it up and check out what I'm getting. So, off the bat, car engine repair, Prank video of some dude telling his mom to shut up. Neighborhood full of Karens attacked us while magnet fishing.
Yeah.
Another engine repair video. A dude getting attacked by a bear.
What?
Why is that
Oh.
here?
This is bad.
A dude playing with a BMW. A dude climbing the rack at the Lowe's store.
Please don't be another dangerous challenge.
Dude. This one I think would get you banned off YouTube if I say, but let's just say it's police related.
Oh.
And then
How is that on
dude
YouTube? But that's on
scamming
YouTube
Samsung.
Shorts.
I don't know how it's on YouTube Shorts. See what
It
this
probably
dude climbing up
shouldn't
the
be.
racks is gonna do.
Yeah, you'd have to wonder, how does YouTube monitor all these? Because unlike regular YouTube videos like we produce, YouTube Shorts will take, like, what, 5 minutes most?
Yeah, I've done a
So
few
you can
YouTube
make, like, a
Shorts.
gazillion of these in a day.
What is this guy doing?
I lost interest in
This-
short form content ever since when I first heard about it.
I've
Yeah,
never.
I find myself
you know,
watching
the-
videos longer and longer.
Yeah, my friend came to my house and we were watching YouTube. He's like, dude, all your videos are like 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, is that not normal? He's like, dude, all mine are like 3-4 minutes. Because, like, I'm looking, let's see, 10 minutes, 16 minutes, 39 minutes, 2 minutes. That's have you guys seen that one guy talking about FC-150?
What?
The shoe
No.
doc?
Nope,
He's everywhere.
I don't know what you're talking
17 minutes, 20 minutes, 32 seconds for the new $20 bill commercial. Yeah, I don't know. I had to nuke my YouTube recommendations a couple weeks ago, and it's just been weird ever since then. They thought I was like a sneaker enthusiast. They were, for like a week or a month almost, they were just giving me just these videos of dudes playing with shoes, and I'm like, look,
Let me see.
I
Let me
like
see what
shoes.
I'm recommended. Okay.
I like
Discover
shoes.
your
I was
perfect
getting
home.
caught.
But,
I was getting coffee videos for 3 months.
dude, what?
Let me
I
see.
hate coffee!
Delta saying left. Top. Let me see what.
I think it was because I clicked on Technology Connections video about the
Oh.
coffee maker.
State of the
Oh, yeah.
Union. Why do I want to watch State of the Union?
Oh, because that's probably going on right now.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe.
But I mean, why would I want to watch that? Like, that's not exactly what
Why
I
would
usually
anybody want to watch that? Ugh. I'm gonna have to shut up from this point on because every other conversation about that State of the Union is gonna get too political.
Yeah. Yeah, but BIOS Lock PC, Apple's Epic Smackdown, Fortnite. Actually, this is the most
Where the heck
relevant
am I
stuff.
being
Oh,
recommended?
YouTube featured at the peak. Oh, in the Pyrenees Mountains, Switzerland, like Yosemite. Like, why do I want to watch hunting? Oh, Alex Fridman podcast. That's political.
Oh, Lex
Why
Friedman.
do I want to watch
That's-
that? Why do I want to watch that?
All right, here's what I got. I got a music playlist of sorts. Black Tesla Cybertruck on the road. Live stream from Out of Spec Motoring. Talos of Tech video. Apple's generative AI stream. My video about I've thought about quitting. Professional violinist speed runs Rush E on a Stradivarius? Never heard of that, actually. What's this? Some downfall of a show on Nickelodeon. I don't know why. Stuck in
Which show?
Sheraton. Huh?
Which show?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Not that I watch Nickelodeon.
It has an act. It's an actor. It's either an actor or a director. Jeanette McCurdy?
That.
Oh.
She's from iCarly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it like by Quentin Reviews?
I don't know what that's
like
about. I don't even know why that's being recommended to me. What else do we have here? Tesla app failed. Tesla cam, serious warning. Rivian R3, for some reason, that was just announced today. The audit. A technology connections video. Oh, this was recent. Technology Connections just released a video about HVAC.
Yeah, that's over an hour long, so I'm not sure if I'll watch it, but
I probably will because I like watching that type of stuff.
yeah.
Car Confections, BMW X2, Out of Spec Podcast, EV News Daily. You can kind of tell that I'm a big EV fan. LMG Clips, Cloud is overrated. Bob and the Wolf Dogs video. Loic Schuberville. Okay, I'll give YouTube Shorts this one credit. I do like or is it Loic? Loic Schuberville. He's hilarious.
Who is he?
He makes these hilarious skits explaining how bad global languages are. Like, he'll point out huge flaws in English and French specifically, but also other languages as well. Like, for example... where is it? Freeform. New.
I don't get the point of freeform.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I find it great as a quick sketching tool. All right, so what is this word?
Here.
It's here. So that means,
or here,
in theory, this should be weir. Right? That's here? Then that's
it's
weir?
Not.
Oh, how about...
there's a reason why English is one of the hardest languages to learn. And I understand why.
Okay, how about the word below it?
Ear.
That's ear. Okay, so this has to be weir.
But where?
What? So that's ear, and this is this is where? Okay,
Yeah.
How about this?
R.
That's R. So this should be war.
It's
right.
It's a different
R,
order. So
war.
Nope. Now I can see why. Because where and R, the I and the R are swapped.
Okay. Here's the funniest part. Oops, that's not right. Eraser, please. All right, back to pencil. So, what's this word?
Air.
So if that's where... No, excuse me. If that's air, then this is where?
But that's not a word.
Precisely! He makes a lot of videos like that, and they are so funny. So yeah, that's who Loic Schuberville is. He's hilarious.
Alright, I guess we have one more topic to move on to before we can close out this podcast.
Alright, what's that?
So, OpenAI. So, for context, OpenAI was initially founded by Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and a few other people as a nonprofit to help AI benefit the good of people. And and they've kind of been going along with that. But I think Elon Musk left OpenAI in 2015. However, we can all say that now under Sam Altman's leadership, OpenAI has definitely become a little more of a for-profit company. Right?
I mean, it makes sense.
Well,
It does
technically,
make sense.
technically, if you invest it into a for-profit, a non-profit company, and that winds out being a profit company, then isn't that fraud?
I'm not entirely sure the distinctions between for-profit, non-profit, what goes into all that stuff legally. I'm not a legal expert.
Neither am I,
so.
but still on a basic level, doesn't that sound like fraud? And I have one more point to prove to this too.
What's that?
Well, OpenAI, as its name suggests, is supposed to be an open company that has more or less. It's supposed to have open source artificial intelligence, so that way people know a lot more about how it works and such. However, we can definitely say, especially after their deals with our favorite tech company, Microsoft, they've been getting a lot more closed source lately, which, again, that's literally a violation of their name, so I'm not sure if that would be fraud or not.
Oh,
Not,
that
that's a pretty
explains
big-
the memes I'm seeing on Twitter. It just hadn't made sense. Now I get what the whole closed AI thing is about.
So, Elon Musk and all the other, and I assume Elon Musk invested into OpenAI, but all the investors in OpenAI have as a result gotten screwed over because they thought they were investing into a non-profit company instead of a for-profit company, and so now Elon Musk is suing Sam Altman and OpenAI.
I suppose he
Who
has
is?
the right to. Elon.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is?
Yep.
Yep.
Is he just becoming lawsuit? Is he going on like a lawsuit frenzy or what?
I don't know any
lawsuit?
other
He's, like,
lawsuits
suing a
he's in
bunch of
right
other
now.
people. And these rich people can't keep themselves away from lawsuits, can they?
Oh, Elon Musk is the one suing. He's not the.
He can't keep himself away from lawsuits. You know, even if it's him suing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I have so many
this will
mixed
be an
feelings upon that guy.
But we can definitely deny that with a. We can definitely say with an open AI. This is actually my dad and I were actually talking about this lawsuit a couple of days ago, and
I'll be right
he
back.
brought up an interesting point.
What's that?
So because OpenAI has been scrapping a bunch of copyright content that they didn't pay for, on top of the fact that they already have a lawsuit for this.
Oh, right. They should be getting screwed over hand over fist on this one.
So, in turn, with this lawsuit and that one combined, like, even if that lawsuit still went down, the U.S. government would still find the OpenAI had been scrapping tons of copyright content it didn't pay for, mind you. Then doesn't it sound like OpenAI and ChatGPT are going down?
I don't know if they're going to go completely down, but it's going to be at least a major setback for them.
Yeah, this is going to be like, I saw a connection. Somebody said on Twitter that lawsuit, not the one with Elon Musk, but that lawsuit was going to be the Napster moment for OpenAI, because do you guys know what Napster is?
I've heard of it. I don't remember why they fell or even what they
So
were.
Napster was a peer-to-peer network that was primarily used for music back in the day. Back in around 2000, around Y2K in that era. And the reason why however, the problem was that even though it was music streaming, all the music was pirated and everybody was pirating music. So the
Sounds
US
like somebody
government
else we know.
It's like Spotify. And so
So
the U.S. government shut that down back in July 2001 because it was not paid for.
yeah, that's something that if you're going to use somebody else's work, either A, get their permission, explicit
Right.
permission, or in cases of fair use, like you'll notice I take a lot of other people's clips on YouTube every now and then just to either add a funny moment. You might notice that I always credit them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have these other creators have the right to be mad at OpenAI for using their content without their permission, and because it's generative AI, OpenAI has no control of what is it going to pull from to generate what it needs to generate.
So as a result, they have to blame the entire company, but
So
what?
yeah, especially when it comes to music, because it has to be pulling samples from other people. How the heck are these people getting paid?
They're not, and there's a reason. And there's a reason why using ChatGPT, getting caught using ChatGPT in English class does count as plagiarism.
Yeah, I found it's actually very easy to tell if you're using I was in a back when I was in school, I was in a foreign language class, had to write an essay in that foreign language, and evidently it's really easy to tell when somebody actually has learned that language and writes a fluent essay in that language, or when somebody goes to Google Translate.
There was actually one time when I was in high school back in November. I had to go to the Spanish teacher's classroom for something, and I read the poster on the wall, and one of the key things on there was, "Do not use online translation resources. I will always know."
Yeah, it's a lot of the students don't understand how teachers know when you use an online translator or even the one on your phone. The reason how they know is because it doesn't matter what translation app you use. They don't understand grammar. So that is how foreign language teachers will know when you use it. Google Translate or any other translation app that you use doesn't understand grammar. So when you basically, I've learned French. Well, I'm not as fluent as I used to be, but basically, when you say your age, you say, I am, I'll give you an example, 25 years old. That is not my actual age. That is just an example. The correct grammatical way to say your age in French is, I have 25 years. That is proper French grammar.
In French words?
No, that's if you translate the French into English, but keeping French grammar. That, according to French grammar, the way that you'd say it is translated into English, I have 25 years. Yeah, I believe the correct translation to French is like, j'aime 25. Gosh, I haven't done this in a while. J'aime 25 ans. I think that's right. Don't quote me. I haven't done French in a while, but I think that's the correct pronunciation. But yeah, grammatically speaking, we're using the English language. I am 25 years old is grammatically, I have 25 years. Big difference, right? Google Translate does not know any better. So when you type in, I am 25 years old into Google Translate, it will use English grammar and not French grammar. So that means your essay makes no sense. It is not grammatically correct, and that is how you will always fail them.
Because even if teachers don't detect that mind you, foreign language teachers have to study English a lot too. But even pretending that they don't know, even pretending that they can't tell that that it was done via an online translator, and as presuming that they didn't already give you a 0 after reading 3 sentences, they still won't give you a good grade on it because it's not grammatically correct.
Yep. So, thought that was interesting information for you.
Yeah, I'm taking French next year, so that actually will be.
Oh, really?
Be
You
somewhat
choose
useful.
French over any
Yeah.
other language for a specific reason?
So, I actually at my school there was French and Spanish, and Spanish is mostly hogged up by juniors and seniors who get the top picks. So, and I wanted to get my foreign language credit out of the way, so.
I have a fascination with the French language. Actually, back when I went to public school, you had 3 different choices. You had Spanish and French, and then you also had German.
Yeah, I wish there was a German, because there's actually a few people in the tech community that speak German. I actually wish they had a German class in my high school, but they unfortunately don't.
So, yeah, OpenAI has got a massive setback heading their way. Will it kill them? I don't know, but it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. You have any thoughts to add, Tabby?
I think AI can be a dangerous tool. You know, think of this. Think of it in this way. The AIs that we see now put on an innocent character, right?
Mm-hmm.
You try and ask it anything that could damage a celebrity, it'll cancel you out.
Yep.
Even asking the smallest things. Now, imagine AI unleashed. Think of it like this. Think of all the info that's on you on the internet. AI has access to all that. Imagine somebody made a bot. You could say, what is, Teddy from the iTunes Fanboys' real name, address, phone number, any info that may be, even on, hidden websites. That is very, very dangerous.
That is.
Just think of that. Because by the time this tool would get out there would not be enough time to kill this, to kill it all.
Yep.
So this tool would be abused really quickly if that came to life. That's my worry with AI. There needs to be regulations against that, because I'll put it like this. We all know a special little kid from Cincinnati or wherever. Connecticut, who would definitely use this on all of us. And if this came to life, oh man, we would have a lot of explaining to do. And also think of it like this. This could be used for fraud. Because
Yes.
They could get social
someone's-
security numbers. They could deposit money from our
Right.
bank accounts.
Yeah, because I'm sure some people have had the misfortune of having that leaked on the internet somewhere. And maybe it's hidden to most people, but if it came to AI, because there was a way to get Windows 10 product keys from OpenAI, I think it was, or maybe it was Alphabet, Google AI, whatever. No, I think it was.
Oh
OpenAI.
gosh.
Windows 10
So,
Pro.
if they can get Windows
To be
10
fair,
product
Windows 10
keys-
Pro keys are overpriced anyway.
No, but the thing is, it's a concept. Because you think of that.
Yeah, that's the
then you
thing,
think,
though.
If it has access to all that, what does it have access on in personal lives?
That's true.
Yeah, it drives me nuts when I've had a couple commenters on my one AI video already saying, like, he doesn't understand it. It's already restricted. Why are you worrying? Problem is, it's restricted now, but that doesn't mean it won't be completely unleashed to anybody. That includes people with malice intentions in the future. And yeah, it's cool to see that this technology can recreate something very convincingly. But you got to imagine what would happen if this gets in the wrong hands. And the thing is,
Yeah.
you can't just assume it will never it will never fall into the wrong hands. That's what so many of these commenters are thinking. They think that there's too many restrictions in place already that it can't fall into the wrong hands and causing this stuff. Well, guess what? It already has, and it is causing massive problems on the internet, actually. I mentioned in my video, there's a video on Twitter that's AI generated showing Taylor Swift and her dress being blown up.
What?
It's on Twitter.
It's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
I've also heard from news reports that on, I don't remember which app store, whether it was iPhone or the Play Store, but I've heard that somebody has developed an application using AI to delete clothes on real people in public. This is not a concept. This is a real thing going on right now.
Let me actually... No, I'm not going to look that up because my parents might check my search history, but...
You don't... Trust me, you don't want to know. It is so disturbing, but
Probably
this is already going on right now.
Place.
It has
That's
already fallen into the wrong hands.
I can already tell it's the Play Store because Apple reviews their apps, and Apple would get in big legal trouble if they allow that app.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, this technology
this
has
is-
been going back
this
as
is
far
real
as
now.
2020, by the way.
Yeah, the 2020. Remember that
This stuff existed. The malicious stuff existed in 2020.
Yeah, remember the 2020 case when there was a see-through camera that could see through clothes and people on one crappy
the OnePlus
OnePlus
camera?
Yeah, remember that Remember that case at Alpha?
Oh, right. Yep.
It already happened.
Yeah. But now they're using AI to make it more realistic. And that is just disturbing. So, yeah, don't tell me that we have nothing to worry about when it comes to this AI technology. It's already being used for malice practice.
Yeah, that will already be shut. That will predict will be shut down very soon.
Yeah, it's a dangerous technology that I don't think enough people understand. But sure, it may not be as fiery destructive as back when we had built enough nuclear bombs to destroy the entire planet 100 times over. But in terms of the amount of danger that this tool enables, you really have... I don't even know what to say about it.
You'll just have to be... Well, we'll just have to live through it.
Here's what I found. It's a scary thing because now lies can be faked so easily, and I really hate seeing how nobody cares about that on the internet when I am already witnessing it being abused.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that subject.
Alright, well, we are officially all done with topics.
Guess that leaves us a half an hour for whatever.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention on the AI, kind of going off of that, one thing that is very important, this is going to sound like a sponsored ad, but one thing that is very important is online security. VPNs are one thing. VPNs are a good way for companies to sell a product to people that people don't need, right? But the thing that you actually want to do, get your info removed off of public records websites. I recommend everybody do this. It will save you a lot of issues in the future, because not only will the telemarketers be less likely to call you.
Well, that'll
That'd
be
be
nice.
so useful, because I'm literally called by a grand total of 10 different telemarketers every single day.
Yeah, there's a lot of websites. Most of them are really, really just absolutely awful about getting your info off. This should, the EU should be focusing on getting, I don't know if this stuff exists in the EU already, but lawmakers should outlaw this. I have so many words to say about this, but I don't want to keep Alpha up editing all night. This stuff should be illegal. The amount of info that you can find on this is insane. You can find a lot of stuff that you really don't want to be on this website. And there are many websites that pretty much just relay the exact information. That is the real, online privacy issue, not VPNs, because look, you get your network busted into, that's an issue. But this is immediate. Doesn't matter how safe you are. If this info is online, this info is going to be used by people. And that's why I think everybody should go and get rid of their info off of these websites before it's too late.
How do you do it?
Not only can so there's a couple different websites. The most prevalent of them is usphone.com. That website, Alpha cut that out of the video because I don't want people misusing that website.
Yep.
That website is messed up. It's free. There's also a couple others that I'll send you guys later. But for the viewers, pretty much look up a couple websites, trying to just pretty much do some research on this. There's websites that can help find the most dangerous ones. Those websites usually are kind of weird as well, but anybody who works or develops these websites, go get an actual job.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but this is low. Searching random people's info online and, piecing together, because some of this
And then
stuff is
exploiting
weird.
them.
Yeah, some of this stuff is really weird. The way they word it especially. They will, I don't know if it's AI written or if they have somebody behind a desk doing this.
Oh, they have to
They're
have someone
like-
behind a desk.
It's weird. It is really weird. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say. The privacy aspect of that, people should really be looking into this. These websites will try and make you pay for their, privacy and security, $5 a month. Don't pay for that. There's most likely a way to get it off.
I'm really trying to remember hard. There's a website out there that I think all you have to do is give them your name, and then they'll scour all of these sites, and then on standard data collection sites like maybe Facebook, for example, they'll request to have this info deleted. And they don't just stop there. They look for your information out on the dark web even. And when they even provide you alerts for if this information ever gets accessed, or if somebody finds your information, they'll send you alerts so that way it's been accessed and you can get that situated and taken care of. I don't remember the site. I wish I did.
Yeah,
that'd be helpful. No.
Yeah.
There needs to be a lot of regulations against this stuff.
To me, I've always
This stuff
hated the
is
whole
dangerous.
concept of data collection like that. To me, it is a complete violation of our U.S. Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. Data
Even though,
collection.
yes, we're clicking all of these disclaimers that say, I accept that this company is allowed to track. Why should they even force you to have to do that in order to use their services?
Also,
when their
also,
services
no
for the
one
most part don't even need them.
Also, no one reads terms and conditions.
Precisely. Nobody likes to read the fine print, so just to me, it's still a violation that this is even allowed, to have other people basically get a window into your own personal life like that. Despite that, yeah, you're signing it away when you click agree or accept the terms and conditions. To me, that shouldn't even be allowed. I don't understand why that is allowed in our country.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's disturbing. Because most of the time when you get the cookie site thing, why do these websites need to know who you are? Why? What
Yeah,
information
it
does this
is.
offer?
It's messed up.
There was actually when we were taking a state test last semester on my school iPad. I actually had to agree to let the company that made the testing app allow access to the microphone and I believe the camera. Why would a
that's
testing app
doctoring
need
or
access to
whatever.
a camera and microphone?
They want to make sure you're not cheating on the test.
I mean,
But I've
that's
already
what
heard
teachers
lawsuits
but
about
they-
this, and
They have teachers,
I've already heard-
and we test with teachers, FYI.
You know how Gen Z kids are with cheating on tests. And
Oh,
stuff,
you know how.
But even
not only are there
you've
teachers
heard
in
the lawsuits where schools are literally spying on kids when they give out these iPads or Chromebooks.
Yeah, not only
Yeah.
there's a reason why I usually use my personal iPad for stuff, and it's so they don't spy me, but more importantly, the testing apps are locked. The iPad is locked to the testing app, FYI, during the test, so you can't go out into any external sources. Teachers are supposed to monitor that kids' electronics and such are turned off and all that, and that they don't have access to cheating.
Last I
And
checked, every classroom is supposed to have a security camera anyways.
That's not every classroom has a security camera on the inside where I am, but more important.
I suppose you don't want them in the
More-
bathroom, but yeah.
But more importantly, teachers can also control what apps their kids go, what apps and websites their kids access, and they can monitor that too. Their students access, and they can monitor that too.
Yeah, there's
So there's
absolutely
no reason
for needing camera and microphone access. That's wrong on so many levels, and that's so violating.
And I had to allow that so that way the testing would work because again it's school, but I would have never allowed that on a normal basis.
Schools have way too much power nowadays.
They really
Yeah.
do.
Tech, they can steal your items. They can steal your phones.
Oh yes, I know. Like they're
Like I understand confiscating illegal stuff like those stupid e-cigarettes and that.
Oh yes, they should.
Right.
Yeah.
They
I can
should.
understand that because you're not supposed to have that, but a phone isn't going to kill you.
It's a
slowly over
personal
time.
item.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
and
not
more importantly, at my old middle school that I was at. Luckily, my high school can't do. Luckily, at my old middle school, if you actually got caught with bring your phone out with you to field day, they would actually see. It was initially planned to be on a Friday, and they were actually going to seize it for you until the weekend. Now, technically, that's your parents' property.
Yeah.
What
at
if
my old
if the
school,
parents request and even if the parent requests that they have the property, they get the property back, an expensive phone, mind you, they can't get it back because, of course, schools can confiscate that stuff.
It's kind of funny. I got caught with an iPod Shuffle in school. And they waited until the very end to give me that back.
An
They
iPod, they
going-
stole your iPod Shuffle.
Yeah, so you know how they used to have the clips on them, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I forgot to take it off. And then I realized it, and I wasn't using it. I just put it away. And the teacher's like, "What's that?" And I had to go through that. And then the teacher took it. And apparently, in my school, this stupid place, you didn't get your stuff back until the end of the year. End of the school year. So let's say you buy a brand new iPhone 15 Pro. You spent all your summer earnings buying a 15 Pro. Just for on the first day of school, some stupid teacher to take it. You lose your phone until the end of the year. Which is what, 9 months?
That can technically be. I understand that kids shouldn't be using their phones in class anyway.
They
like to
you know,
do
with
that kind of
that
stuff,
said,
but that can legally be fraud.
with that said, that was a decade ago, so I don't know how it is now. You know, that was...
But that type of thing could
That
still
was
be
back
could be.
before iOS. I think that was actually before iOS changed.
They could.
I think that was still when iOS.
Yeah, that might not
looked good.
might not technically be fraud for an iPod Shuffle, but for a phone like in a modern iPhone, that could be fraud.
I don't know how it could be fraud. I could see theft, but
Yeah, I'd say
Well,
that.
it could be
Yeah,
theft
hopefully
since
they
it
don't
was
do that
over
anymore.
since it's at least in most areas at least in the U.S. it's at over $300 is fraud. So if it's worth over $300,
Why
then
would
it
it be
goes up
fraud,
from
not
a
theft?
misdemeanor to a felony.
I'd say theft, not fraud. Fraud
Well,
would
it's
indicate
theft,
that
but
you
still.
bought it from them.
It's theft, but still, it's technically be felony level, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
do
at my high
understand that schools really should have these policies where, yeah, if you misuse your own stuff or you use it as a distraction or a disturbance, then yeah, you should have it confiscated. I'm not arguing with that. You can have it confiscated. This is where I start to disagree with a lot of school districts. Only until the end of the day, only have it confiscated until that school session is over.
Because
And if it becomes a big problem in the future, if that's what you're concerned about, if it's going to be a problem in the future, then this is where you have a conversation with their parents. Any objections?
They should force you. Well, I don't like when teachers. I especially didn't like when teachers forced me to do stuff because it was always stupid stuff. But they should just have you put it in your locker, not be able to go out to the locker and get it back. They shouldn't, nobody except for me should have access to my personal property. So I would not trust a teacher because what if a teacher just throws it in a bag with everyone else's phone? Your camera lens gets cracked from that because, the box, whatever they use, probably has a bunch of other phones. What if your screen ends up scratched up? That's going to be my problem, not the teacher's problem, if that was happening to me. That's what always pissed me off about that.
Now, for example, there are some teachers that just make collect phones in class no matter what, and then you can't get it back until the end of the class period. That's normal.
That's fair to me, to be honest. That's fair.
However, what's not
I've had
fair
a couple
is when
teachers who collected. I've had a couple teachers who collected phones to just get rid of the distractions, and then when class is out of session, she gives them back. Nothing wrong with that.
One time I heard of a teacher at my current high school that actually, because kids were misusing their phones, she took all the phones up to the office and made it where the parents had to come pick up the kids' phones after school.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
As long as it doesn't extend past a day or past school hours, I'm totally fine with whatever phone collection, phone confiscation policies they have.
But when schools start to start to invade your home life, for example, when schools give out their own electronics and use it to spy on students, like there have been lawsuits about this, believe it or not.
And it's never been okay. It never has been.
Like, why do schools need to monitor kids outside of school?
They don't. like monitoring them while they're in their building, because, well, for the most part, they're in charge of their safety, for example. Yeah, that makes sense. But once they're back in the hands of their legal guardians, stay out of my life.
This is exactly why I don't like homework, is because homework is a way for school to get control, is a way that schools can force themselves to have control of your life outside of school.
For me, one thing that I really hated that was a pain to go through. My family, and me in particular, I'm not a big fan of needles.
Oh, yeah.
You had to get
You know how
vaccinated.
schools will require, vaccination. And I'm not talking about the other the COVID vaccine and stuff. I'm talking about like tetanus, for example, something like that.
This is actually my school, in my school district at least, you only have to get them in 7th grade before you start 7th grade, and if it's due to religious beliefs, then the parents can opt out. So the parents can opt out if they really want to. At least in my area.
Should not. I mean, I understand why they like that idea. It's because, well, it decreases, in theory, it decreases the risk of kids getting sick. That makes sense. But the problem is it's a theory, and that doesn't guarantee it anyways. So what's the point other than forcing parents to spend extra money to make sure, you meet these requirements to attend? No, to me, that sucks. It always has.
I mean, I get the point.
I've always gotten waivers.
I get the point of vaccines because they help prevent they help prevent people from getting sick. Like, I get the point.
Supposedly.
The point of it makes sense.
I
think what Alf is trying to say, it shouldn't be a requirement for those who don't want to. It should be encouraged, or he's fine if it's encouraged, but he doesn't like how it's kind of forced onto people, which I get that.
The idea,
personally, I hate the concept of the flu shot.
I actually like flu shots because they work and they prevent me from getting the flu. That's why I like them. But getting back onto another point, the whole point.
I have to say no to that because when I was in 8th grade, everyone who got the flu shot all went home sick with the flu, and those who didn't, well, it actually canceled the elementary school for a day because not enough people showed up.
Yeah, they usually don't cancel. They've never canceled school, at least in my. I've never gotten school canceled because of the flu, though. There was only one time when I've had pretty good luck with flu shots, except for 1 year back in 2022 when it was right after I got the shot that I got the flu because I didn't see it because I wasn't aware that it was around. But
ultimately, my point is, you should not be forced to conform to that because I've at least known. I haven't had the flu ever since. I really have to think about this hard because I genuinely don't remember the last time I had it because it was so many years ago. Was I 8 or 9?
I last had it back in 2022, and before that was when I was almost 8.
I was either 8 or 9 last time I had the flu, and I've never had a flu shot.
You're lucky.
I don't think I've ever had the flu before, actually.
I've had
maybe one time. Not sure.
You probably have had it at least once. I'm sure everyone has had it at some point, maybe just when they're younger.
Yeah, I have.
I've had this 2019 virus like 3 times apparently, but I don't know. I have not felt sick any of those times, so.
The point of 7th grade shots that I was trying to get at is that the idea behind them is that let's say a bunch of 7th graders go to a gathering at somebody. Let's say me and a bunch of my friends back as 7th graders go to my house, and let's pretend that I have a baby brother who hasn't gotten his shot yet, and then we happen to have something that we're immune to since we've already gotten our first shots, but the baby isn't. Then the baby would get sick.
That kind of seems like the parents' decision, not the school's decision, though.
Yeah, it really
It
should
is.
be.
It should be, exactly, but that...
Or not the schools, the parents. It should be the parents.
Yeah, it should all be the parents' decision. Schools do not have the authority to determine stuff. As you know why kids use ChatGPT to cheat on schoolwork? It's probably because, at least in America, here in America, the system is all based on grading. It's just based on whether there's something in there that's worth something. Otherwise, rather than focusing on the actual importance of learning the stuff. That's probably why there's so much cheating.
Everything's a number.
Yeah.
Numbers
It's
are
just
everything
chasing
right now.
100%. Yeah. I hate it when everyone goes on about spec sheets. No, everyone seems to forget. It's not always about the numbers on paper. Can they help? Sure. But determining all of your decisions based off of numbers on paper is one of the worst things you could do.
There was this one. So what there were actually a couple of kids in my math class back when I was in 8th grade that claimed that because they usually got higher scores than me on tests that they were smarter than me. I still don't believe that to this day.
No, I'd never. Sure, they may have picked up on these facts and managed to memorize. This is a big problem that I have, especially. I think my ADHD has something to do with it. I may be smart, but the truth is I don't remember a lot of that stuff I've learned from school because it was constantly, for me at least, jumping from test to test. Get all of this information crammed up in that head, and once you take the test,
everything and go to the next one.
Wipe it out and cram new information in.
Yes, that's exactly. It doesn't focus on the importance of learning. It's to the point where at this point I've probably forgotten at this point forgotten a good amount of stuff that I've learned in my 8th grade year because of that.
Yeah, and a big thing this was how I've managed to make my way through school. I got good grades. Do I remember this stuff? Sadly, no, it's hard. But even my parents and my boss have brought this up so much. I'm a valuable asset to so many other companies. Like, so many other companies want to hire me. And did I get perfect grades in school? No. Did I get high grades? Yeah. Do I remember any of that stuff? Oh, heck no. But it's not about all the information you have crammed in your head. It's your ability. A lot of the times, it's your ability to figure things out.
Yes.
School is basically a library. You have, in your younger years, you're forced to have access to. And it's a library. That's all it is. It's just a library of information. The problem is... The problem is they are doing it... In theory, it's supposed to ingrain this information. It's moving that information from textbooks into our brains, but they are doing such a bad job at it that to the point where genuinely one of the most useful places in that room is actually just in that building is just the library. You might as well just go to the school library and learn that stuff yourself.
Even Albert Einstein said the only thing you need to know is the location of the library.
Pretty much, because this is how I managed to outperform so many people and why I am constantly doing research. I'm trying to have as much information accessible to me as possible, so when I happen to need to talk about this, it's right there. I know where to go to find that information, and I can construct my argument, and there we go. This is why I like making edited videos, by the way. It's because I can do my research ahead of time and then consolidate it all into a video and make my argument, make my point. And what is this? I got something going on here. Oh, yeah. Oh, dear. Please do not come into my room because we're still recording.
Who was coming into your room?
Family members.
They were all just coming into your room?
They'll barge in every now and then, so I have to make sure the door's locked when I'm recording. So
you should just get a recording sign for your door.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is how I mostly do it. I try to, instead of trying to memorize each single number in my head, I just try to memorize where that information is in a library. So that way, once it's time to use it, I can go to that library and, well, get myself really familiar with the topic. In fact, just so you guys know, lawyers do the same thing. Lawyers, regarded as some of the smartest people in the nation, right? They do the exact same thing. They haven't memorized the entire Constitution in their head. How does one do that? Because there's so many different laws out there, there's no way you can memorize each individual one.
But they have to know how to get the information.
Yeah, to me, the smartest people, it's not about how much information you can cram in your head. That just means you have good memory. What you need to be able to do is pull that information either from your memory or get creative and find it somewhere else. It's not about just memorizing stuff.
That way.
Yeah. It's not just about memorizing all this stuff. That's what the school system is just constantly trying to force on you. It's all about memorize all of this stuff. And how are you supposed to use it? I don't know, but you just got to memorize this stuff. And it just shows when it comes to these fresh out of high school kids come in looking for a job, or this includes college too. They're not as smart as their degrees or their resumes would report. Their numbers on paper, sure, they did well in this instance, but that's just because they were able to memorize information and spit it out on a test. When it comes time to actually use this so-called memorized information, it doesn't help. You can't just look at numbers on paper. That's the ultimate argument. You can't rely on numbers on paper.
You truly can't, but
it's like when you go to test drive a car. Sure, one car might have better gas mileage than the other. One car might have more power than the other. But that one car with the better numbers could drive like total crap compared to the other being much more tuned and refined. And sure, it might not run as efficiently or be as powerful, but it runs smoothly. It might be put together much better, so it might be a more reliable car.
Are you just kind of like referencing Apple versus Windows? Because that's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah.
That's the same thing too, by the way. This is why I'm a huge advocate for macOS. It's not just about numbers on paper. It's not just about all of the applications available to you. That's the biggest argument I hear so many people bring up. Sure, Windows has more applications, more support for... So in theory, that's supposed to be the more valuable platform, but guys, come on. Especially if you watch us, you'll know that's not the case.
Numbers don't matter quite as much. It's like John Prosser worded it perfectly. It's like you're not gonna have fun at Disney World if you just know. You can't have fun at Disney World if you just know how all the rides work. How you have fun at Disney World is actually going on the rides. Yeah, unfortunately, looking at the numbers on the right corner of my Mac reveal that is 7:58 p.m. where I am, which means that it's 8:50, now 8:59 p.m. where you guys are. And so, you know what time that means?
I didn't even get to talk about Rivian R2 and R3. Then again, I actually don't know anything, so it's best we shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, it is time now. We close out the show. So, as always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. As always, I am Teddy
one more
MacBook, the
thing,
iTunes
though.
Fanboy.
So, hold on. One more thing. Can I just say one more thing to you guys and to the entire audience as well?
Yeah.
Can I just say thank you?
Thank you.
Because this podcast has, doing it once a week, at least we try to do it once a week, does such a good job at helping me open my mind and calm down from the stresses that I deal with every single day. And I enjoy talking to you guys. I do.
Well, you like this show.
So, yeah, can I
You too,
just
man.
thank you all?
I second that. It's always good, hopping on here, getting to talk to you guys for a while, being able to talk about tech for a while, because everyone who I used to talk about tech with over the internet is now not a tech enthusiast, so just good to be able to sit down and talk about tech for a while.
Yeah.
And whatever else, because usually it ends up becoming some sort of political thing.
Yeah. Well,
True.
There's a lot of stuff that gets cut out.
yeah.
But ultimately,
But
I enjoy talking to you guys, and so I want to thank you for inviting me, however long ago it was, to come on to
August
the podcast.
2022, or July 2022 is when you invited you on the first episode. It didn't release until August 2022.
Yeah, just
and thank you to Alpha. It's been great doing this show with both of you guys.
And it's also and Alpha's also added a lot to the show.
Right.
yeah, guys. In case
It's
you
all
forgot,
coming
I
together
edit
now,
this
finally.
late at night. So
Yeah. Hopefully this one's a little bit easier to edit. I think there's only about 2 things that
2 major
That
points.
need
Well,
to be-
no, 3, because I got my overdrive I need to censor.
oh yeah, that's gonna be like half an hour to edit that. But yeah, that was a good show. Hopefully the audience enjoyed this. Anybody who stayed till the end of this, wow.
Just want you to know you're
Congratulations.
appreciated, and thank you
Yeah,
so
we
much for
appreciate you.
supporting us along
Leave
the way.
a comment. Anybody who actually lasted through all this, leave a comment, and maybe you'll be the guest on our next show.
All right, I'm interested. And unless it's
if
we do not want him
Yes.
on.
Don't need him.
Because this has been what, 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Or it's been
6:30 to 9.
One of these
So,
days, I gotta get Drew on here.
If you can get Drew on here, tell him I said this. If you can get Drew on here, that would be our best episode.
yeah,
I think so.
Because I've been watching him since 2017,
Same.
and he has a lot of he shaped a lot of what my channel was in the early days, and it would be nice to talk to him, not one-on-one, but in a environment like this. I would, if you can plan that out, tell me in advance, because I would have a couple questions to ask him about how everything is, because I know he used to work on like a farm of some sort, right?
A Mandarin Ranch.
Right, yeah. But that would be cool. But yeah, I think Teddy is more than ready to wrap up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need
as
to
I
go
was
feed
saying
dogs too anyways.
beforehand, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of iTunes Fanboy Podcast. As always, we greatly appreciate you for staying on for this long, listening for this long if you have, and as always, I am Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy.
I'm TabbyCat406 from Smash Tech, Tabby Pairs, and TabbyCat406.
My name is Alpha Duel from the Random Alpha.
As always, we are saying goodbye for now. Goodbye, everybody, and peace out.